Okay, well, let's go ahead and play the video. And like you said, I think that kind of explains it all. So we need an ad, of course. Someone's got to.
The right support can give you confidence in the
Can you
face
hear it
of
all right?
uncertainty.
Yes.
As a Citigold client, a dedicated team will help you navigate the market so you can be ready for that next step.
Coming in. Any moment now.
Yeah, I've seen these videos get frozen at times and not come in.
It's so funny. You know, you pay for 1 gig of internet down, and then, yeah, you get this.
I don't think it's the internet issue on that.
No?
No, I've had these issues before on these videos.
Do you hear that?
No.
Cute, lightweight, comfortable frames, and the best part is you can change up your look. You get a few toppers, the possibilities are endless. The combos that you can come up with.
Can you skip that ad, Joe? I think it gives you that.
Here solved everything I don't like about being a glasses
It
wearer,
doesn't
which
give you
is
that
looking
choice, my
the
friend.
same every day. It's no fun.
All right, now I can skip the ad.
There we go.
The latest inflation data revealing a cooling in the housing market, but prices are still too high for many Americans. Here to explain the latest numbers and what's ahead for the rental market, Yahoo Finance's Rebecca Chen. Rebecca, in this report, we are seeing costs moderate just a bit, but they're still very high for so many people out there who are trying to rent their homes.
Yes, that's correct, Shada. So what we're seeing from this morning's inflation number is that housing inflation has definitely been cooling down. But what that means really is prices are still growing, but at a way moderate level that we have seen in the past 2 years. The inflation data shows that the housing inflation is about 0.4. And this is sort of a good news, bad news. The overall inflation compared to last month was 0.2. So we are still higher than what we're seeing for the general number, but it is coming down from last month. So again, we are saying that this is sort of prices are coming down, but it is not coming down enough. And one thing that we always pay attention to is the rental inflation. In this month, it was 0.5 compared to last month. And what that really means is rent could be stabilizing for the time being, and that is what the data are showing. What the experts have been saying is that this is the slowest gain in the last 7 months. So we are seeing some kind of relief coming for the renter, but we are definitely everybody is hoping for more relief if you're looking on the market for a house.
Rebecca, we've been talking so much about the new construction that's coming online because of the lack of inventory. How's that likely to improve prices?
The new construction that are coming online, while it does give a little bit more supply on the market, but what the problem with new construction is that a lot of those are luxury apartments. What that means is these are the apartments that's going to ask for premium rents from their renters. So in terms of affordability, they're not exactly affordable for everybody, but it does sort of give a little bit more supply on the market, and that will bring down prices a little bit in the future.
Becca, when we talk about everything that's going on with affordability right now, where people can spend, where they can't spend, what are you seeing just on a regional basis? And when we talk about new homes, new home construction, just how much that maybe will alleviate some of the pressures and the affordability issues that we have seen?
That's a great question, Shada. What we are seeing in terms of region is that the West prices are coming down. And the Northeast prices are still fairly moderate and going up a little bit, and places in the Southeast, such as Florida and North Carolina, these places are definitely seeing a little bit more of a pricing crunch. So in terms of affordability, we are seeing more constructions that are coming online for different cities, especially the pandemic boomtowns that were extremely popular 2 years ago, unlike Austin. So we are expecting these places where a lot of constructions are coming online, the prices to pull back on them. But other places, areas where both prices and construction are still seeing a little bit of a crunch, renters and buyers might still have a struggling issue with affordability there.
Rebecca Chen, thanks so much for that.
Before
All right. Well, there we go. So, what do you have to say about that, Darren?
Well, it's definitely, she's correct that anything new coming online, one of the big issues with building more and relieving the cost burden from both the renter and the homeowner perspective is that nobody's going out there and saying, let me build the cheapest thing possible and sell it to the middle.
Right.
That's the reality. I think she was appropriate in identifying that the bottom line is you increase supply and it will balance out the market a little bit. It's the supply demand curve that's continually pushing things up at this point. But it could be that the newer, more expensive things are coming online and you hope that people move up to those, which opens up some of the lower priced spaces.
Right.
So we didn't quite get to what she identifies as a cost burden percentage. But inflation ultimately is being down is helping all of this. But it could, if it stays down for a period of time, put more upward pressure yet again on house prices.
Right. Well, I found this article to support that idea of cost burden. So, Darren, cost burden is what the Fed or what the, I forget, HDC or the labor statistics people call what? Cost burden is percentage of housing to their
cost of housing compared to
their
income.
Salary.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And the number they've used, both for renters or owners, and this is a very old number, and it just so does not relate to today's expectations, is you shouldn't pay more than 33% of your income towards housing costs. Again, either mortgage or rent. Gosh, as long as I've been, at least for 30 years, I can say where I've been a true homeowner / renter in that time frame, that number is pretty consistently in the 50% range. And if you can make the shift to ownership, that 50% over time becomes lessened. So you start today at 50%. The reality is we're typically in a semi-inflationary environment. 10 years from now, if you have the same salary and the same mortgage and you haven't refinanced, you're probably, you can assume your salary is going to go up a little bit because of inflation. Doesn't always. But because of that and your payments fixed, your percentage of housing costs is going to go down.
Right. Well, I found this on CNN. It kind of amends what you're talking about. So renters are being hit harder by inflation than homeowners.
Yes.
Right? Renters and homeowners are experiencing inflation differently, according to new data from Bank of America Institute. And unsurprisingly, renters are taking the hit. Using Bank of America internal data to identify homeowners and renters by housing-related payments in bank accounts, mortgage payments, homeowner association fees, or rent payments, analysts found that a wedge has opened between spending by renters and homeowners. Renters are seeing weaker spending growth outside of housing. Two things are causing the split. First, the majority of homeowners' monthly payments have not risen, as you said. The cost of renting has surged. Rent inflation jumped from around 2% year-over-year increase in 2021 to 8.8% year-over-year in March 2023, according to the Consumer Price Index, although it has moderated marginally in recent months. Meanwhile, the majority of U.S. homeowners with outstanding mortgage balances have fixed interest rates that were locked in at ultra-low levels prior to the slew of recent interest rate hikes from the Federal Reserve. Higher inflation and interest rate hikes have caused mortgage rates to climb from an average rate for a 30-year fixed mortgage of 2.65% in January 2021, lowest average weekly rate since the beginning of Freddie Mac's records going back to 71, to last week 6.81, according to Freddie Mac. Analysts say those homeowner households are not yet feeling the direct impact from rising rates. Only the handful of total homeowners who got a mortgage after early 2022, or those with floating mortgages, mortgage rates rather, a very small number, are feeling pinched. Secondly, if a typical mortgage payment is higher than a typical monthly rent payment because renters' income tends to be less than homeowners, more renters put a larger share of their income toward rent than homeowners put towards mortgage payments. That's leading renters to pull back on their discretionary spending more than homeowners, according to Bank of America Institute. What else? While renters are becoming cost burdened, which means households are paying more than 30% of their income toward housing, generally considered to be a financially sound share. How high housing costs hit renters hardest. Nearly half of renters, an estimated 49%, are cost burdened, according to a recent report from the Joint Center for Housing Studies at Harvard. Between 2019 and 2021, the most recent data available, the number of cost burdened renters increased by 1.2 million to a record 21.6 million. Among these, 11.6 million were severely cost burdened, meaning they spent more than 50% of their income on housing. Although the share of renter households experienced cost burdens had been steadily declining over the past decade, the trend reversed during the pandemic. So, well, that kind of gives you what you
I'll
need.
say this: what gets me about that number, and
Uh-huh.
it's not complicated. When you go to apply
Yeah.
for a mortgage to purchase a house,
Yeah.
the baseline to qualify for a mortgage is that
Yeah.
your payment cannot exceed 50% of your income. So
Wow.
why do they continue to use this 33% number or 30% number for renters? It's not
Right.
real. And
Yeah.
you know, they talk about how renters have been more impacted by the inflationary numbers. Sure, outside of the housing market in Los Angeles, if you were a renter pre-pandemic, and I say that because rents have not increased in Los Angeles for 4 years.
Right.
So they
Right.
haven't felt that burden at all. And
Right.
their income has risen 3 times in that same time span. So renters in LA that have rented property for more than, that started renting property before the pandemic have not felt the burden of inflation.
Right. Right. They had a pause there for sure.
Right. It's been more the landlords who are feeling that burden because all of their costs have risen tremendously to maintain the buildings, to pay water, and to pay for everything related to the buildings while they have not been able to increase rents.
Well, it goes on here to talk about spending, homeowners versus renters. Obviously, renters are hobbled right now. I was reading something, right? I don't know, it was somebody on a board for the Fed saying that spending is keeping the economy up right now. So,
Yeah. And it's
Not
not
a good
that I
thing.
don't have empathy towards renters and the cost. I think that cost should be lower. I always feel like I have to defend my position because these politicians in Los Angeles who created this, who established this, have basically said those who own property have to pay for this burden. And that to me says it's very easy to put the blame on someone else. But overall, as a city, we have not absorbed that burden equally. And that to me would justify people saying, yes, this is a burden we should all absorb. It's easy to stand out there and proclaim victimhood and continually say somebody else should absorb this burden. It needs to be resolved, but it's not going to be resolved by landlords paying for the burden continuously.
right. Right. Yeah, we all got to figure this out together. All right. Well, it closes out with a little bit of hope maybe for renters, although I don't think it'll be enough. As the share of homeowners who have bought a home with higher mortgage costs increase and rent inflation moderates as the Fed winds down its rate hikes, the analysts say some convergence between the spending growth rates for the two groups is likely. I'm not going to hold my breath for that, but okay. All right. Well, there you go. I think that was a good one, man. Definitely.